All right, all right, all right. Answers by guess. Week 9 game by game preview. What up there, guess?
Yeah.
Social media sites. There. I always look for those hashtags. Answers by guess ABGFF. We are fantasy football's inside scoop from outside the box. Spy Mageddon Pot de Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers, and San Francisco 49ers. You should know that already because you've already seen it twice from the previous videos. But let's jump right into the first 4 o'clock game here. Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle is a good team. I don't know what the hell to think anymore. Are Giants a
No.
bad team after that week? But anyways, Lockett, Metcalf. Metcalf was a surprise, man, to be playing, and I
Oh yeah.
mean,
And
with
now
that
he's
knee
completely
injury and stuff,
healthy.
yeah, which what the hell did he do to be good?
He's
I mean,
superhuman, man.
he's just a monstrosity of
He's
a
a
man.
monster.
So Kenneth Walker still getting it done. Geno Smith is
Yeah.
playing well. Is
Yeah.
Geno an every week kind of starter? And I mean, they throw the ball enough where I feel like he could be, especially on By Mageddon. Are we
Yeah.
playing him against this Arizona defense that's kind of soft? Hopkins and Kyler have found their groove again. Connor seems to be coming back. How does that affect the whole entire situation with the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah. So like as far as Gino, we talk about cards quite a bit. And like he just gets no respect still, which is crazy. Like
I know.
and
Poor
people
guy.
people complain about this all the time. And it makes complete sense, but anybody that collects cards as well, or even used to collect sports cards when they were younger, it's like people go nuts over the new shiny thing. And when something isn't new and shiny anymore, like Geno Smith when he was a rookie, his cards were probably going nuts in 2012 or 11 or whenever that
13, yeah,
was.
something like that.
And then he stunk and got hurt. He was actually pretty good, right? Something happened. He hurt his hand. Didn't he hurt his hand in someone's helmet or something? I kind of remember like a glimpse of it.
That
Like,
sounds right.
and like he like had to end up being out, or he broke his arm or something. He punched somebody or something in practice. Isn't that what happened? He got in a fight
Yeah,
in practice or something, like
yeah.
broke his arm. And then like his whole career went downhill, and now he's revived his whole career, but his cards are still worth dirt.
Hey,
But it's
bad
like,
dirt.
but people will spend so much money on Justin Herbert, and it's because of the potential. Well, Justin Herbert could wind up having a more consistent career, but could never be as doing as good as a team as the Seahawks are doing right now, as you mentioned. Their defense, I thought that they were dumpster fire. And after that Detroit game, they turned it around. They
Oh
turned
yeah.
it around. They're ridiculous. They're shutting people down. It's crazy. I don't think that's going to happen here. Kyler and D Hop is real. They got Rondale involved last week. A couple weeks from now, Hollywood's going to come back. I'm not sure if that's going to mean much for him. I mean, Rondale's lucky that he's even getting a piece of the pie because D Hop could eat it all. And if Kyler was the chef, he would feed it all to him, you know. But
I
unfortunately,
like that.
he's got to spread it around. There's other people at the table. Eno's looked really good. I kind of feel bad for Keontae. He's not going to get a shot really if Connor does in fact come back. Listen, they need to just go with Eno and Keontae. They just need to do it and just be done with the James Conner thing. And watch, I say that, and Connor will go nuts in this game. But I'm not putting him near a starting lineup, and I
Yeah, I
suggest
mean, he's
we
still a
don't.
game time decision. I
Yeah,
mean, but
even if he's healthy, at this point, just gives you a better shot to win, and you bring in Keontae every now and then to punch it. Um, so that's pretty much it. I still think that Zach Ertz, like if you could trade him and just get something else, I think it would be a very smart move. I think Trey McBride sooner or later is going to take over. And Zach Ertz is, he's losing targets to D Hop. He's still coming through a little bit here and there. Um, but he's a piece I'd be looking to sell 3 weeks ago, and I don't think the window's closed. I think a name value and the bit of production he's getting could still get you something else. There's enough guys out there at tight end that you could play because I think in a few weeks, if this season goes off the rails, because it's close. if it goes off the rails, I think that they'll just turn it over to McBride. So that's the Cardinals. You play Rondale if you have to, especially by McGinnon with all the injuries. The Seahawks, the two running backs or two wide receivers you talked about. Homer took over for Dallas, so he's the backup, so you can't even touch CJ Dallas. So it's really just three guys plus Geno on this team. This game, divisional game, it's going to be a good one. I feel like these two teams always play each other well. This probably, Rob, you and I were talking about the 4 o'clock games. We were talking about why do they have 2 4 o'clocks and 8 1 o'clocks. We were talking about they should move them, yada yada. But this game probably is going to be a really good game. I think.
I think both 4 o'clock games are going to be actually pretty good. We're going to get into the next one also.
Yeah, so play your studs in this one because I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
Cheap DFS play, guys. Robbie Anderson, I'm going to go 60-yard touchdown down the line. So 1 target the first week, so 3 targets last week, no catches, no result. I think this might be the way. If it's D-Hop, they're going to get behind. Robbie Anderson can get behind and catch one of those big ones. But
real quick before we go to the next game, we did the giveaway list a couple weeks ago. We only got 5 people, and I want the list to get to 10. So if you're watching this right now, you have a chance to make sure that you watch video 1. There was a player I mentioned in video 1 that was almost a guesstimator. If you PM us that player that was almost a guesstimator from video 1, we will add you to the list. Once that list gets to 10, so I need 5 people, the first 5 people will get on the list. If you're already on the list, you know what? Screw it. We'll add you on again.
Double up.
So you could be on there twice for a chance at a free T-shirt. You got to go to video 1. There was a player I said was almost the guesstimator. If you're watching this now, make sure you watch that.
I like it. I like it, guys. Get that free T-shirt.
Yeah.
All right. The next 4 o'clock game, Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's the battle of, damn, these teams should be good, but they're not. Akers getting more involved, though. It seems like he's back at practice. Even McVay saying, we'll see how we can get him into the swing of things. I don't know if that's going to actually happen or not. But if that does happen, how does that change the dynamic of this team? Akers should be their best running back. Kupp obviously keeps on doing what he's doing. But Allen Robinson actually got some love and some targets last week. Not a whole bunch, but definitely a lot more than what he's seen. Is he a possible wide receiver 3 start this week? And buy him again in part to. On the flip side, Mike Evans catches the ball, but he doesn't catch the ball. But then he has huge plays, but then he doesn't have huge plays. I don't know. I mean, Mike Evans, I think, could have a game. Him and Ramsey tends to shut him down, though. Ramsey has his number. Is this a Godwin game? Cameron Brate coming back, does that actually open it up for Otten a little bit, now having him be the offensive role and let Brate go back into that more blocking kind of short pass role? And then anybody else we should be watching for? Julio Jones with a touchdown last week. Fournette, trade him?
This game is a conundrum because the ebbs and flows read both ways, and then they contradict one another. And here's what I mean. Tampa Bay offense has been terrible. So you're like, all right, they're at home. I feel like Brady's good. He's got all his weapons healthy. Julio's healthy for the first time. We'll see how long that lasts. But everybody's healthy. The Bucks offense, this is the game. And then you look at the other side, like the Rams defense has been terrible. They got everybody back. They're feeling good. The Rams defense is going to shut down this week. It's like, wait a minute. How is the Rams defense going to shut down? And the Bucks offense is going to go off. Conundrum. It's very tough. So I think one of these two things will happen, or neither one. But one of them has to. So it's so strange. Matt Stafford last week finally got 2 touchdowns. One of them through the air, one of them with his legs. He had a rushing touchdown. I think it was a 1-yarder. Might have been a sneak. I can't remember correctly. Actually, he might have bootlegged and ran it around the side. But that was good to see because we weren't seeing that because he was hurt and he didn't want to get hit so he wasn't even putting himself in danger. Van Jefferson did nothing last week. I think he comes back and does something this week. Allen Robinson trending up, like you said. Cam Akers probably not going to play. Kyron Williams, will they use him? People are still picking up Ronnie Rivers. You can't even touch this backfield. I hope it's Kyron Williams that we could see something, but it's against the Bucks, the Bucks rush defense, and the best way to beat them is punch them in the mouth. But I don't think any of those guys can punch anybody in the mouth. They break their hands. They're all littler guys. Kyron is a little bit bigger than the rest, but first thing, I don't want to touch him. So we'll see how Cooper Kupp goes. I'm fine with all of them. Higbee's went from the leading target tight end to almost an afterthought because Allen Robinson is stepping up. So they got 4 solid weapons. Stafford healthier. I think that this game could wind up being pretty good from an offensive perspective because I tell you what, Rob, I can't recommend guys I don't like. And I haven't liked them for a couple years, but I didn't mention him because he was so far off of anything. But I feel like Julio Jones is going to have a game. I will guarantee Chris Godwin scores a touchdown because it's been too long. Guarantee Chris Godwin scores a touchdown. Put money on it. Well, not a lot of money. I'm not a rich man. I'm a simple man. I
bet you a
would,
nickel.
Okay, I could do that. I could spare a nickel. But Chris Godwin scores a touchdown. I think Julio Jones is going to have a really good game in this one. Maybe it's sort of like you said, Ramsey sometimes shadows, sometimes he travels all over. But Ramsey and the Evans thing, I think it's just going to open up some stuff for Julio. No Russell Gage. So I think he's gonna flourish in this one. He's finally healthy. We'll see how long it lasts. But I like Julio Jones if you're desperate in this game. Just have a feeling that the Rams will have their hands full with Evans and Godwin, maybe a little Otten. The Fournette situation, I just have a feeling sooner or later he's going to just have a ridiculous game. I don't think it's going to be here, but don't you just get that feeling that Fournette, because he's done literally nothing. Like he's had games with like 7 yards more than once, tons of passing yards, but
and
rushing
touchdowns.
Right, but rushing nothing. So sooner or later,
and he had like 23 yards or something last week or something like that.
Yeah, Rachaad White is still involved. He gets his typical 6 or 7 fantasy points each week. If he's still out on your waiver wire, people, just in case Fournette, if anything happens to him, I think Rachaad White, if you give him a full workload, I think he'll be able to do better than Fournette has done this year. But I just have a feeling sooner or later Fournette's going to do something. Don't think it's this week, but I do think this game, 2 good defenses or 2 defenses that should be elite usually leads to a lot of offensive production for whatever reason. We've said that many times over the 6 years at ABG. Whenever it's 2 good defenses, people think it's going to be low scoring. This also has 2 good offenses who have sort of underperformed. I think the ebbs and flows. It's just one huge offensive earthquake in this one where you have guys like Julio Jones and Van Jefferson doing things that we haven't seen all year.
It's going to be an interesting one, man. I agree with you. I think these 2 4:00 games are going to be very good. I'm upset that there's not more 4:00 games. We're red zoners, so I mean, from that perspective, it's just going to be maybe just watch the game, the Los Angeles Rams and Tampa. That's kind of switch back and forth. Screen. Dude, you know what's funny? It's going totally off topic, but me and Mike were having a conversation. They don't make picture-in-picture anymore.
Yeah, they do.
How old is your TV? Oh, yeah, DirecTV. See, for somebody who has cable or is using streaming and stuff, there's no picture-in-picture option on TVs anymore. So I couldn't have that split. Even through the cable box, I don't allow that split either.
There's no button on the remote?
Nothing.
What if you go to, I think what I have to go to is info? It was probably different for a cable company, but what I have to go through in DirecTV is I got to hit the info button, and what that does, it brings a bar on the top, and like it's like obviously the info about the show you're watching and a couple other things, and all the way at the end is PIP, picture in picture, and you can click it, and I can do a small box, and I could put it in whatever corner I want, or I could do a split screen. So I
I'm
can
gonna have to
have
check it out because
one
I feel like it
channel
doesn't
half the
exist.
screen and one
Yeah.
channel the other half. So check on the remote, play with the buttons, and see if something pops up. You know what? Google it and just
Yeah,
be
I'm gonna
like,
have
whoever you got, who you got, Spectrum,
Optimum.
Optimum. So you just be like, how do I do picture in picture with Optimum? It's probably available, but it's through the cable company because it's the cable box that does it, not the TV. You know what I mean? So you might have been trying to figure it out with the TV.
I was
but it's
definitely going the
cable.
TV way. Yeah.
It's the cable box because the cable is the one that's sending two signals. It's not the TV that's sending two signals. The cable box is. So you have to tell the cable box, hey, I want to split these two. Because I could do that. Like I got the.
You can tell my age, right, guys? I have no
I'm
clue
older
what to
than
do.
you. I'm older than you. I'm older than you. I got like 5 years on you, man.
No, stop that.
I do.
You think you got 5 years? You're only like 2 years older than I am, bro.
How old are you?
37.
3 years older.
No, stop that. You're not 40 yet,
I
brother.
thought you were 35. I thought you were a chicken over there, spring chicken.
Not anymore, man. I feel like it though, but not anymore.
Okay.
All right, going on to Sunday Night Football here. Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Fantastic call by you. I think you said he's going to have over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns because he always has over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns against Houston. It's amazing. He went 219-2, I think.
And why didn't I put the mortgage on? Why didn't I put the house on? It's 5 games in a row. It's 4 or 5 games in a row. It's like why? I knew it. Everybody knew it. I told her, and I think his line. Remember I said about Josh Jacobs a few weeks ago? It was 81.5. His rushing prop. I was like, I never see it that high. It's like 75 is like usually where it's high. Derrick Henry's was 105. He had that in the first half. I think
he had it in the first quarter.
I texted you first. I said at halftime he's got 115.
Yeah.
I say he's going to get to 200.
Ridiculous. But anyways, going back into the Titans, I mean, if Tannehill's limited in practice, if he plays, what does that change for the wide receivers? Because Malik Willis did not throw the ball. They did put it all in Henry. The way Henry was running, Malik Willis didn't have to do anything, to be honest with you, against that Houston defense. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, Kansas City Chiefs coming off the bye, but the week before that, big win against San Francisco. They got Kadarius Toney. We talked about him being picked up all over the place. Now that he's a week a little bit more acclimated, how does that change the dynamic of what we're looking at as far as the wide receivers? Are we still totally staying away? And am I starting CEH? Am I starting Pacheco? Is this finally the transition where we start Pacheco more than CEH? I mean, that technically could have happened already, but you know what I'm saying.
The Titans are so hard to talk about because I keep waiting for them to get jiggy with it, and they don't. I mean, a lot of that has to deal with Tannehill being hurt and then not playing last week, and Willis just not throwing the ball. So I think they did throw to him once, though. He might have had a catch last week. Look that up. But it's Henry, and then what? They got Woods. You know, with Burks not being there. He might come back this week. I thought I heard, or is it next week? But I don't know. I thought I read something about him possibly coming back this week, but I haven't seen any reflection of anything like that.
He's on IR, so he has to miss, I think, this week, and then next week is the week that he can come back.
Okay,
it's the 4 weeks.
I thought last week was the 4th. Last week was the 2nd.
Last week was the 3rd.
So this is the 4th.
This is the 4th, so he gets to play week 10 against Denver.
Okay. Yeah, so they need him badly because Phillips hasn't been there. They got nothing. It's Robert Woods. You can play Robert Woods, and it's just a volume play because Kansas City, Titans defense is pretty good. They're going to run the ball, obviously, to keep Mahomes off the field. But they're going to be able to move the ball. They just have too many weapons. Their 6th wide receiver is Kadarius Toney. So that says I mean, he could probably move up to 5 after this. It's just because he has a better, but he'll move ahead of Watson. But Sky Moore, and then like the other main ones. So it's like I have a feeling MVS is going to have a game. I just have a feeling that he's going to. The Titans' pass defense is not good. And I think this is a perfect matchup for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And Mahomes will take a shot or two deep to him, and he'll probably catch a 60-yarder in this one at least, somewhere in that range, 40, 50, 60. And then I have in my lineup in the ABG league, and I don't really like it, but I can't take him out because I have a feeling he might do something. Jerick McKinnon. Pacheco and the CEH thing, Titans have a very good rush defense. Like, very good. Top 5. Their pass defense is terrible. They can stop the run, but McKinnon doesn't really run too much. He's usually catching the passes out of the backfield. So it's like, I don't like him in this matchup, but I just have a feeling if I take him out, he's going to have one of those games that pisses off the CEH owner, that pisses off the Pacheco players. Just seems that way. It seems like it's going to be MVS and McKinnon. I don't want to use McKinnon, but I just have this feeling that it's going to be him. But trust me, like I'm not even just saying this to try and be whatever. Like, I want him out of my lineup, McKinnon, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just like, I just have to leave him because if Sunday night rolls around, I can picture it. I can picture Jerick McKinnon scoring 1 or 2 touchdowns on Sunday night. It's dark. The whole house is quiet. I'm watching the football game, and Jerick McKinnon catches a pass on the 5-yard line and skirts it in untouched. I see it happen at least once or twice.
Interesting, man.
But
I've really been looking for that.
But the reason I want him on my lineup because he could easily get like 0. Right. Because of CEH and Pacheco. So another conundrum, another quandary. Is that a word?
I'm actually. Oh, sorry.
I feel like MVS is going to do good things in this one, and Tony's going to have a couple plays drawn up for him. So we'll see. We'll see how he looks.
I could see the end around, kind of the same situation that we were talking about earlier with the Bears. That's the way to get a new guy involved, something that's kind of out of the ordinary kind of play. I could see. I'm kind of on the fence. I have Pacheco, I have CEH, and I have Michael Carter to be able to be my running back 2 this week. All 3 of them, I feel like, can do nothing.
I'd probably go with Carter.
Yeah, that's who I keep on feeling too. And I have MVS. I'm liking that you're talking about MVS being that guy.
I just have a feeling about him. I got a feeling about him because, like, this is just a perfect matchup. An easy defense that he could just get over the top on.
Yeah, kind of like I was mentioning with Robbie Anderson. He could just be that guy. Let's fly down the field as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, going on to the last game here, Monday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens at the New Orleans Saints. Baltimore on with a mini bye, pretty much coming off that Thursday game where they played good against Tampa Bay. Andrews got banged up. Andrews doesn't seem like he's going to play. Likely being picked up all over the place.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable starting Likely? Bateman gone for the year. Does that mean Duvernay gets an uptick as well? Anybody else we should be thinking about? And are we staying away from this running situation completely? And then on the flip side, New Orleans played really well against the Raiders last week. Michael Thomas out for the rest of the year. Doesn't really make a difference. But Landry coming back, how does that affect things? Landry seen as practicing. If he does come back, does that change or help Andy Dalton in any way? Obviously, you're starting Kamara no matter what, but great game from him to actually see him come back the way he did.
Yeah, not to make excuses for them, but another thing that happened to the Vegas Raiders last week is they didn't have Darren Waller. I think that made a huge difference. The Saints are really good against the tight end, so they probably would have bottled him up anyways. But because they didn't really have to worry about him that much because Foster Moreau is not as much of a threat as Darren Waller, that allowed them to worry more about the other guys. So it was just a good game in the defense shutting down the Raiders. So I think they'll be fine this week. But back to this one, Saints defense is trending in the right direction. They're getting better. The offense is what's not helping them. The turnovers by Dalton, and they can't even switch to Winston because he would just do the same exact thing. Dalton's just a little more under control. Olave's good to go. Landry, I think, would help Dalton. He's a little bit of a safety valve. I think Adam Troutman is also coming back, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that will help because they'll use Troutman on top of using Juwan Johnson. Then you got the Taysom Hill factor. He's going to run. He's going to throw. He's going to catch. He does it all. And Kamara. So they got a bunch of weapons. Now, on the other side of the ball, Rob, we've talked about this for a couple seasons. We would always say the Baltimore Ravens defense. People always think, they're so good, but that's like a memory in our mind. But man, let me tell you, they have turned it around. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Baltimore Ravens defense is, aside from the one blow up, like ever since that blow up versus the Dolphins, like they have been locking it down. They just signed. They just signed somebody.
Roquan.
Right?
They just traded for Roquan Smith, man.
Yeah, they traded for Roquan. So they're just getting better and better and better.
I got Baltimore in a lot of leagues, man.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough for the Saints. Luckily, they're at home, but like I just mentioned, they got a ton of players. So they're going to be able to move the ball. I don't know if they'll be able to win. They could. The Ravens have been way too close in games. They almost gave it away last week. Lamar hasn't been as ridiculous as we all know he can be, and maybe he should be. Some of that has to do with having no wide receivers. My boy, D-Rob, came through last week. I've been loving on him since 2017. 16, actually, I think it might even been. I can't remember now. I've been waiting. He never got his chance at KC. Finally got a chance, and guess what? Now he's hurt. What the heck? He's hurt. Tylan Wallace, I liked him last year. I think he was a guesstimator maybe once, or at least I told people to watch out for him. He got hurt. He's probably going to be playing this week. Duvernay has looked amazing. Bateman, the bum, the worst draft pick I ever made. Like, come on. Like, I want no part of him next year. None.
I traded for him in a league. I traded Elijah Moore for him, but obviously that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But
I want no part of Bateman next year. I'm making it clear now. Everybody who's watched this, just eliminate him from your draft boards. I don't even care if he has an amazing,
one of those.
No,
not even one of those.
I don't want him at all. Because I feel like I dealt with this last year to a degree. And it's just like this entire year has just been worthless. So they need somebody because they're not going to have Mark Andrews, right? And Likely, everybody knew about Likely from the preseason. He killed it. So he's great. He's a wide receiver playing tight end. He's incredible. I think
he reminds me of Darren Waller, to be honest with you. That's who he reminds me of because Darren Waller had that same type of build, that same type of wide receiver and so on.
He's bigger, like taller, I think, than Darren Waller. Maybe not as muscular, but I feel like he's bigger and faster. He's a fast dude. I think this week, though, the production will be there, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Because like I said, the Saints are really good against the tight end. But Baltimore does have a player who was really big in the preseason. It was talked about him a ton. I've talked about him a ton. He finally got back on the field a couple weeks ago, was more involved last week when Bateman went out. This entire week, they've been prepping for him to be their wide receiver 2 behind Demarcus Robinson. And now, wide receiver 3, because Demarcus Robinson is going to be 2, Duvernay the 1. Now he's going to have to be the 2. And he happens to be this week's guesstimator. Yeah.
Oh.
And just because we talked about it in the other videos, I'm going to switch it up. His name is Jimmy Prochet.
Oh.
And they might say Proche, James Proche. It's Prochet. Come on. Let's give him the sex appeal he deserves. Crochet, right? Jimmy, James, was an absolute stud in training camp, got hurt in the preseason, struggled to get back on the field. They had, all the nonsense going on with all the guys in front of him, but now he's their number two. He's their number two this week against a defense that is going to be very good and very keyed in on Likely after his breakout last week. He's not going to surprise the Saints. They're good against the tight end. James Proche is going to be the one, I think. I think this is going to be our first. Well, we had a couple that we hit on, but I think this is going to be our first home run guesstimator. I think. I don't know if he's going to have a huge game, but I'm saying home run, like maybe it's an inside the park home run.
Target share should be there.
Yeah, he's going to get 8 to 10 targets. So you figure 4 to 6 catches, 60 yards or so, shot at a touchdown. Just something to build on because Bateman's not coming back. We don't know how hurt D-Rob is, but they loved James Proche in the preseason. He got hurt, and he's been working his way back, and now he's here, and it's going to be Monday night. His time to shine. He's playing against a team that has a ton of offensive weapons and playing for a team that is dying for offensive weapons. As far as the running backs go, it's got to be Kenyon Drake because Gus Edwards probably isn't going to play. So I think Kenyon Drake is fine one. But you got to remember, the Saints have a good rush defense. They shut down Josh Jacobs last week. So I can see the Saints winning this game, I think. I think you look at it on paper and recency bias, and you're like, oh, the Ravens, they're going to win. They're probably the favorites. I don't know. I'm going to guess if they're trying to trick people, it's probably -2. But I think the Saints should actually be -1.
The Saints are 2.5, but yes, they're getting 2.5.
Yeah. So I actually think the Saints should be -1. I think the Saints have more offensive weapons. You say they have Lamar Jackson. Well, they got Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill's going to run people over. Lamar's not going to.
Big boy, man.
Yeah. The running backs, Saints win. Wide receivers, Saints win. Tight ends, give it to Baltimore. But the defense for the Saints, both the defenses, the Ravens defense is so good. I think the Saints win this one. And just because the Ravens have been too close, they almost gave it away last week until they turned it on at the end. I like this Monday night. I think that, like I said, I think the guessmaker is going to make a little bit of a name for himself. So that's like somebody you scoop him now. I don't know if he's going to be a stud, but he's going to be a serviceable wide receiver 3 flex guy this week. And, maybe to close out the year because the Ravens need him. And they're not getting anybody else because the trade deadline's over. And they didn't trade for anybody. They got defense.
Deshaun Jackson, I know we've been past him and so on and so forth.
He's still on the practice squad. They'll probably elevate him. And you know what? He had his few big plays with Vic, but that was like 10 years ago. Remember? The big game, I think it was Eagles were playing Washington.
Isn't that the one where he threw, like he didn't get past the end zone or something like that? Or he didn't cross the ball past the end zone and he threw it back? It was supposed to be like a 60-yarder and he dropped it before he crossed the line.
Not in the game I'm thinking of, but that definitely happened with Vic. But the game I'm thinking of is like the game where it was a Monday night. I think it might have been championship week or right around Thanksgiving or something. I don't know. I was at Jess's apartment. It was back when we were dating. So I know it was like 10 years ago. And we were watching it. And I remember I had Michael Vick because I think I had Kevin Kolb as my QB. And he got hurt. So I scooped up Michael Vick off the waivers. And this was like his first or second game back from the dog scandal.
Yeah.
And he just came in and he lit it up on Monday Night Football. He threw like 4 touchdowns, like 300-something yards. One of the very first plays, just chucked it deep, a super dart. Deshaun Jackson just burned everybody. So Lamar Jackson can do the same exact thing. The thing is, does Deshaun Jackson still have those burners?
Yeah.
We'll see. I think Marshawn Lattimore's out as well.
Good question. Let me take a quick look.
So that I'm almost positive because that was another reason why I was like, okay, James Proche, like Lattimore would have been on Duvernay anyways, but if he's out, that means their second best guy goes to Duvernay. Almost positive he's out. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it just says week. It doesn't too many surprise. It seems like he's trending to be out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guess.
So, yep. Final thoughts. All right. So I was doing some thinking while I was sick and dying on the couch.
We're happy you're better.
In bed, thank you. And I was like, Answers by Guess is kind of become less of like a, to me, anyways. And I like this. I'm okay with it. I'm proud of it. It's in my nature. It's become less of a advice, like start sit, and more of a educational tool. And it was almost happened by accident, but it makes complete sense because I'm a teacher. So I feel like the things that we talk about with people, and all you have to do is look at the people who were with us in the beginning who don't even come around anymore. And
winning leagues, man.
And you ask them, and they say, "Oh, I'm just kicking everybody's ass in all my leagues, so I don't even need to bother." Like, we give strategies, we talk about players, but we're giving strategies on how to manage, how to think outside of the box, how to read situations, ebbs and flows. And we've been doing this for years. So it's like, I feel like it's what, and listen, we're nothing special. We're really not. We're just two guys in the basement. That's it. But what separates us from other people is I feel like we are trying to teach you how to do it better rather than just sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm so smart. You must play this man. You must play this man. I'm so smart. King of the castle, king of the castle," right? And it didn't happen on purpose, but I think that's what it's become because I spend so much time, especially with like the answers with guest shows, and that's what kind of got me thinking because I was like, when I wasn't doing the answers with guest show, I'm thinking of like, oh, I'm usually like spitting some game about, this is how I would attack tonight with waivers and this and that and this and that, and I'm like, I kind of do that a lot. I was like, I wonder if people like that, or do they just want me to tell them who to pick up? But like, that's not what we're about. I feel like that's not what we've become. We've become more of an educational tool about, we got this game and you're pretty good, but here are some angles that you should start to look at to exploit. And we never point them out like, today you're going to learn about this. It's just, well, maybe this was the way that, I would do it. And Rob's like, this is what I'm thinking. And like, just thinking about like Henrik, just to call him out, like season 1, 2, like, and who's the other one? Noah. Like, Noah was one of our first like big fans. Then Henrik, and you don't hear him or see him anymore. And we know for a fact we don't see Hendrick because he's lives on the other side of the world. So we're on when he's sleeping. But also he's like, I don't need you anymore. No offense, but I'm kicking ass. I'm doing all the things you told me to do. And now I know how to do it. I don't need to listen to you, your fat mouth anymore. So it's like, I love it. I just want to grab his cheeks and kiss him. Because like, I'm a teacher. And like, that's what I try and instill in my students is like, you could give a man a fish. I could give you a player, or I could teach you how to find the player yourself. And I feel like that's what we've turned into. And I couldn't be more happy about it.
Yeah, man. That's why I always came to you advice, thinking outside the box, man. That's what led to this show, if you think about it, and the education that we continue to give, or that you continue to give as well, there, friend. All right. That's the final video here. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, go on TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Always look for those hashtags. And as always, we thank you for watching. Guess we will be back Sunday at 11 a.m., correct?
That's right. Yep.
Excellent. That's when we'll go live, do the questions and answers. And after that, remember, as Guest mentioned in one of the videos, he has some decision making to do. So he may not be available. And I have some sports to do. So I may not be available. But we'll be live for at least an hour. So
that's right. So we'll see
excellent.
you. We'll see you Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. Deuces.
Night. Where is it?
I don't know. It's not ending.
Ah!
It's not ending. It's not ending. It's not ending. It's not ending. And recording.
It's the never ending.
And the recording. Go ahead and end it.
It's never gonna end. It's gonna be a never ending.
It says
video.
having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection.